Action! Activate!
Here we come, there they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You will soon, you see our pose. Tension, energize. Let's go. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
I am doing research to see about someone's last name. Okay, yep, got it. Good. Hi, I'm Gazbot, and this, of course, is Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, then with me, as always, is the Big Dawg Defender. Oh,
It is I, the Big Dawg Defender.
What the heck is happening with you?
I shaved my head last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, even though I said what the heck is happening, I didn't. Wow. But the beard is as full as ever. It's like all of your power shifted right here.
It is. I'm channeling it. Similar to what is being channeled in this episode for Power, Rise of the Ninja 2, which we're reviewing today.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk more about your head, I guess. We're not talking about.
No,
this
we can. I mean, so full transparency. When I logged on, he's like, "Your camera's not working." I was like, I'm gonna surprise you," and he's like, "Okay." And there's a live reaction.
Well, here's the other thing. I expected that you were going to be in a new studio or have different equipment, or like I expected something about your environment to be different, or maybe a new shirt. I don't know, but like I didn't expect because you've never had your hair cut that short since I've known you.
Yep, never. I haven't shaved my hair this low since I was in 8th grade.
Wow. Well, you look like an 8th grader.
Thank you.
With a beard. But
Yep.
no, people aren't here to talk about your hair for the most part. For the most part, a few of them are.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about the Power Rangers Rise of the Ninja Episode 2, which is Crimson Vision, but this is like the Nerdbot side of it because it's on the Nerdbot channel.
Yeah, so my understanding is Nerdbot is like the giant umbrella that Crimson Vision falls under.
Yeah.
And after that partnership, merger, acquisition, whatever you want to call it, happened, they're like, cool, this one we're putting under Nerdbot, but then Shattered Past is still under.
Right. And I know that
Crimson
it's all a
Vision.
partnership, but it's unclear to me why some are on one and some are on the other. I'm sure there's a back end reason for it, but
To me, I think it's to keep people driven to both channels, maybe. Is the only thing.
No, that makes perfect sense. So I guess it wasn't a complete buyout or merge or whatever, because there's still some distinction. Because like if somebody bought my channel and was like, okay, now we're equal partners, or I own it or whatever, like if anything, I'd start a new channel. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
The good news is it's not like it is inconvenient if you're trying to see when they're released, but outside of that, everybody's all cool. It's one big happy family behind the scenes.
All fine. And it's all still free and everything. It didn't go behind a paywall. When you're watching it as they're being released, it's not a problem. Going back and trying to watch it in order, I feel like we talked about this before. There should be a watch list order somewhere, and maybe there is. I just haven't Googled for it, to be honest.
But before we dive into the plot of the episode, what are initial impressions?
I liked it. I think I don't have any major criticisms. I think it's because of the way we've been watching these, we've been watching Dino Fury in between, but it's going up against Shattered Past is difficult because I like Shattered Past so much that while I don't have any really strong complaints about this, it's just not as exciting compared to Shattered. And that's not fair. That's like saying regular episodes are not as good as like the finale or something. You know what I mean? But
yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too is this is only episode 2.
Yes.
Whereas Shattered Past is on 4, almost on 5, where it's like, okay, so like trying to keep that. I'm still with you. I liked a lot of aspects of this episode. I think there was a lot of setup, which is kind of a theme to what we saw last episode. Doesn't mean they were boring or anything, but we laid the groundwork for, okay, now that we got that out of the way, boom, get ready for some more stuff.
Yeah. And as we go through, there were things I liked and things I didn't like. There was nothing I hated. But there were a few little nitpicks, mostly technical stuff, more than anything else.
I wanted to make a note about that. Full transparency from behind the scenes. The audio on this episode is inconsistent, but they kind of got out in front about it. We're like, look.
Didn't we say that about the last episode though?
I may be getting them confused, but this one I feel like I heard more than the last one.
I noticed audio problems in the last episode and in this episode.
Yes, this one I noticed it way more though.
Here's what I'll say about that is I think this episode it happened more often, but it was never as bad. I think the other one there was a couple scenes where I'm like, this whole scene is terrible. Whereas this one it was like the levels of different actors in the same scene. I'd be like, oh, I could hear him perfectly, and then the next person speaker would be like, what? You know, so that unfortunate. That's like I said, that's a technical thing, and I'm sure if they could have fixed it, they would have.
Same thing, but flipped and reversed for me.
That's funny. Maybe, yeah. Well, but anyway, that was honestly the biggest complaint of all is the audio. Oh, there it is.
No, I think I had a smudge because I had my thumb over it, and now can you go a 2-shot really quick?
Yeah, I've had a 2-shot, but now we wanted to show Will Shoot.
I know. Okay, yes, that was it. I was like, I looked like there was a hue, but now we're good. Okay. So right out of the gates, literally seconds into this episode, we get a training fight.
Yeah, I like the way they start. And it's also one of those things that if you weren't paying attention, you might be like, oh, why are they fighting? I mean, obviously we know it's training, but they all do their power. Now, I think the CGI here is all fine. It all works. It was good. It was fine. Except when I like how cocky Brody's getting to. He's like, hey, what's up? You know, again, Will Shufelt showing that, you know, he could do more when he's given more. Let's leave it at that.
Agreed.
I love his little hand jutsu here. This CGI I didn't love as much as the others. And part of the reason it wasn't amazing, but you know, it was honestly probably not too far off from what you see in Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But this is maybe again like more of an animation nitpick, like on the other episode, well, the Shattered Past where the Megazord fell. I feel like I could see where that was going to end. It wasn't like Brody stopped it. It was like it stopped before him and then he kicked it. Maybe because it's training, but it seemed like he had no intention of hitting him with it, is what it seemed like. So that
I think you're right. I think you are nitpicking the animation and not paying attention.
I am, but it was like, that should have went a little further. You know, like when they say like it punched through someone, it seems like it was like, I don't know. It just, the other three worked so well that when they got to this one, I also find not just in this, but in any lower budget CGI, including Power Rangers on television, less is more usually. Yeah. When you see the effect for half a second, it works great. When it's on the screen for like more than a second or two, I start to notice the flaws. That's all.
One thing I liked, because I don't remember how long ago it's been since First Ninja was out, but like I love how even in these 15 seconds, we're like, they're a team. I'm fully invested. Like,
right.
Yep.
And they even say like, oh, we're back to being a team. So clearly this is like a reunion and stuff. I agree with that. They do a good job of the recap. And there were audio issues beginning here, but we already talked about that. So just assume there's audio issues throughout. None of them make it unwatchable, but we're not going to comment on it the whole way through. Yeah. I was a little confused, and maybe again I was paying too much attention to the animation, because they're like, we got to get him. The whole idea is they want him to get his elemental, what his element is, I should say.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, let's do Typhoon, and so they do Typhoon here, and it's the two of them combining powers. And he does a ninja spin to morph up, and that counters it. Fine. I don't have an issue with him powering up, and that counters it. But it was just odd. Like, if the whole idea is that he gets pushed to his limit to find his elemental, then why? I didn't quite understand that. Did you?
I took it as kind of like a normal Power Rangers episode. You ramp it up, and the Ranger has to do what they can to overcome that obstacle. And for that, they're like, we're coming at you. Do what you got to do to get through it. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to morph. Like,
okay. You know. I guess I made in my mind, I was like, well, if he's morphed, how's he going to find his element? Which isn't true, but it just in my head that I don't know why.
To me, I was going to say, to me, it'd be the opposite, because I know they're probably not going to do this, but to me, like these kind of moments when they are morphed up is when they would get like their battle armor. Like it's like, and
battle.
Fire!
This isn't battle armor. All of them are using their elemental powers in their civilian form. That seems to be like, it's a civilian power that maybe could transfer to powered up mode, but we see that in SPD and other things too. It's you know, whatever. And Dino Third, whatever. But so they hit him with this tri-beam, and it doesn't like defeat him, but it makes him like kind of demorph his helmet, I guess. Or maybe he takes it off. They just don't show. So I assumed it was like, you know, when you get hit so hard, you demorph, but he just kind of demorphed just his head. But there's a little comedy there of like, I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah.
And he still didn't find it, so he's dejected and whatever. So like that was a good opening, despite my nitpick of the CGI.
Yeah, I definitely like and this is one of those things for anybody new to this or been watching these whole series. I really like these episodes. I am not trying to sound as pandering as I do sometimes. I love how they take something so minuscule from like Ninja Storm, for example, where it's like there's 3 Rangers, here are their powers, and they're like, it'd be kind of cool. Doesn't really make sense that there's only 3 powers. Shouldn't there be 4 powers? And it's like, okay, yeah, why would they not do that? And it's just so seamless.
Point of clarification, aren't there more than 3 powers already because they have the Thunder Brothers?
But it's different because these, for the Wind Ninja, it was just 3, and then Cam was like an honorary 4th, and then Thunder is its own, like, it's kind of like different sides of the same coin of it, where like there wasn't ever crossover of like, oh, I'm part of Thunder Academy, but I can do Earth stuff. It's like, no, you do that stuff or you do this stuff.
That's true. I put on the closed caption in case we want to remember what they're saying. Yes, and it does, and it is also like, well, we're jumping ahead, but there's an element that gets shown that kind of makes sense that it would be shown. Agreed.
Well, the reason I brought it up is we saw him we saw a Ranger with this power previewed in the last Shattered Past episode.
Yes, and that goes back to like, again, are we watching these out of order or are they just previewing to get people interested in others? It's okay, so this is where they're talking about like we reunited, blah 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 blah, and they do a good job. Like, hey, don't worry, buddy, you're gonna get it. And he's like, okay, and then he's like, okay, you and me, we got to go continue our one-on-one training that we've been doing, and which reminded me that this whole thing is in the ninja dimension.
I know the hue. I'm like, when I first watched it, I'm like, where are they doing this to get together? And then I remembered, as we're doing it here, I'm like, oh, it's in the dimension. Got it.
And previously, we'd only seen Jackson, but it's like, oh, they're all ninjas, so I guess he's helping connect it, whatever. But then they go do their solo training over here, and he talked about finding his original ninja weapon, the sword. And I do like that line here. It's a line we've heard versions of before, but he's talking about, oh, you want me to use your old sword? And he's like, hey, it's not just because it's old doesn't mean it's useless. Hey, look at me, And then, he's also pepping him up. But then he says something like, it's not the weapon that makes the ninja. It's the ninja that makes the weapon. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a paraphrase of something that's been said a million times, but it gets me every time. I don't care.
I know, same.
Yeah, it's true. Yep, you're right.
There's 2 tropes. There's probably more, but at least off the top of my head, 2 tropes that will get me regardless of how great or terrible the like media is that I'm consuming. Mm-hmm. And it's something of like, you have to make the most out of proper noun or noun. And looks like we're going to have to get everybody together one last time, or get the team together. Like teams getting together and somebody having to use the power of insert thing to overcome obstacle every time, man.
Another one that gets me is the old retired whatever. Boxer, soldier, bottle cap collector. He was the best, but he's been done for 20 years. And then they go to him and he's like, no. And then they find the thing, like, but this little girl, and he's like, like that always gets me too. Especially if he says no, and then there's some battle, and then you like see his footstep, and you're like, he's coming. That no matter what I'm watching, I always get excited when that happens.
Side tangent lightning round. What is your favorite movie in that kind of genre?
Oh man, I the one I just said about the old guy coming back to fight her. I mean, I don't know this is my favorite. It's just the one that I happen to think of as Unforgiven.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that's my favorite. That's just the one that was in my head right now.
My knee-jerk reaction would be Rocky Balboa, but if I thought,
Rocky Balboa, that's
I know. Every time you were saying that, I was like, Rocky Balboa.
I mean, that I don't know that's my favorite, but that is one of my favorite movies. So that's definitely up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to Power Rangers. Sorry, I've been curious of that, but so right here, Jackson hyping him up, like, dude, you got it. The thing I like about their dynamic is Jackson is keeping his confidence up and showing him he could do it, while also somehow very organically keeping him humble of like, look, I know like you're the one, but like
he's Morpheus.
He's
like, you are destined to do all this stuff, and you are inherently going to be more powerful than I am. But right now, I know what's up, and I need to make you understand. Doesn't matter that you could punch harder than me. I know what's going on, and you don't. Kind of.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I can't tell who I like better, I'm leaning honestly more toward Jackson versus Sam, just of like Colin's Rangers that he plays in these, just because I don't know, Jackson, there's something just really relatable about regardless of when we see Jackson, I'm like, he's just the same old guy. He's just a little bit older here.
It's the beard.
No, it's not just the beard, but it's the demeanor of like that Star-Lord mentality of like, come on, guys, like.
Well, yes, that one of my favorite parts of Jackson Brooks is that like no one seems to remember who he is or appreciate how important he is. He's like, really, what, you know? And we see that a lot in this episode.
Yeah,
I think at the risk of playing favorites, Shattered Past to me is the more exciting series. Let's say not better, but more exciting. And he is a good part of that, but there's a lot going on there. This one's a little slower paced. And so he shines a little more. I don't know that Jackson is better than Omega, but Colin stands out more in this than he does in the other. Does that make sense?
Yes, comparing the Power Rangers extended universe kind of to the MCU, I feel like Unworthy is like the Avengers movies, and all of these are like kind of offshoots of the characters, but eventually
you said Unworthy. Did you mean Shattered Past, or did you mean
I meant Unworthy? Because like even though they're not,
what is Shattered Past then? Because Shattered Past is also kind of like an Avengers movie.
Shattered Past to me is kind of like, I don't know the best example, but like maybe like a Spider-Man movie or like one of the Captain Americas where like a lot of times other people come in, but it's still like there is one guy.
Yeah.
Who's doing the thing. It's Sam's show, and his time bro is there right alongside him, his Bucky.
I feel like I would rather have Jackson Brooks as my mentor, leader, boss, whatever, but I would rather be Omega.
Well, because you and I love the trope of like, oh, I get all the weapons. Like whenever.
Also, he's got kind of a cocky sense of humor, and they both have a sense of humor, but Sam is much more like, hey, whereas Jackson's like, oh man,
I don't know yet, and this is foreshadowing to our next fan episode, but I have a feeling I will be whatever Andros is like now. That's kind of where I'm destined to go.
I feel like he's gonna be very, very dark, and why do you think?
I don't know. I feel like in this instance, I'm like, I'm still, doing things for good, but you might not like how I got there. And who knows what this piece of Ecliptor on my face means. And I got a dark spiral saber and I'm taking names and no prisoners. You know what I mean?
Right. I guess I don't see you as being that dark. maybe I
was darker in my past. And by that, I mean, like, I was just grouchy. Like, I wasn't like,
darker in my past.
There wasn't a huge
like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, leave me alone. I'm busy.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, what are you doing? I'm sitting. Let me be lazy. Ah!
But go back to what I was saying. Also, similarly, like with the Will Shufelt stuff, like with less going on. Well, there's a lot of reasons why he's doing better in this. But
the other thing too is because he's been this character for so long, and he's like co-plotting and co-writing this. He's like, here's what would happen.
Yes,
here it is, and it's not like constrained to what people need to tell me to do. Here's what Brody's going to do.
Right, and you're right, and also the fact that the character, not the actor, but the character has been through all that. He's been through the wars. He's not with his friends anymore. He's like a different person now too. He's more mature in a lot of different ways. So then we go back to present day for present day, because present day for Brody is present day for us, and we see the previous Daishi, which was the second one we've seen, because the first one was when they were inhabiting the what was the Green Ranger? What were they calling him?
Like Cyclone Ranger.
He was previously, and I don't know, I can't remember. I think, did they say that in the other one, or was that revealed in this one?
That it was Cyclone, or what?
That Cyclone was being inhabited by Daishi. That was no, they did.
I think they did, because then Jackson helped expunge it, and then they fought
I was
together.
getting mixed up because I've seen both, and I'm like, which one? So that one they revealed it. So this is the second host, which was the woman we saw last time that I didn't love the way they filmed, but otherwise was fine with. And so Daishi's upset because this is a weak. They're not a Power Ranger. They're like, this person's not a Power Ranger, so it's no good to me. So Daishi leaves. And it's interesting because it's becoming this thing of like, I guess Daishi just keeps body hopping instead of staying in one. And maybe. Well, no, in Jungle Fury Daishi went straight to Jared, but who knows? Maybe that's our perception. Maybe there was like other ones before.
I also like from a behind the scenes perspective, I know in a couple of these series they've had to have some recasting or some scheduling conflicts and stuff. And I like how Daishi specifically, if they're like, I don't know if there was a scheduling conflict, but I'm assuming there was. And it's like, and we never showed your face, but we got a new Daishi now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of character that it's not a problem. Even even if you do show the face, like
very Whovian.
Yes. So we see this new character, and she turns out she's being chased by ninjas, and she loses a scroll, and she turns out to be, what is her name? Sia, I think was her name, or Saya.
I think
Saya.
One of those.
And he's like, who are you? And she's like, I saw you. He's like, oh, you must be a ninja. And she says that she was trained by her father and other people, and she has an outfit that looks reminiscent of the Jungle Fury, Order of the Claw kind of stuff. And then she says, I was trained to Order of the Claw, but also other people have trained me, blah, 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 blah. And because of things we've seen, we kind of know who she's going to be. But even if you didn't, there's the hints of who she's going to be, which is both exciting and depressing because it should be me.
Hey, there's a lot of time travel going on.
That's true. Okay. I don't know how she would turn into me in the future, but
she doesn't need to turn into you. You could just, fill in for our good friend over on the other side of the world, Mr. RJ himself.
Whose name you couldn't remember, and you're trying to vamp to get to it, and who now I can't remember, and I'm trying to vamp to. Oops!
What? I don't know what you mean. Hey, Comic Tropes, I like him.
I totally skipped to the episode I was watching. The show I was watching for. Oh wait, I know his name, David De La Torre.
There you go.
Yeah, I knew it. Oh, I just skipped ahead. Yeah, sorry about that. There's a button on my mouse which apparently takes me back to the last video I watched, which I didn't even know existed. So anyway, joking aside, yeah, that's cool that she shows up. And then we cut to we cut to Jackson on the phone. I don't know why, but I really like this shot of him on the phone. The angle, the lighting, just everything about it just looked like the coming into focus.
Well, because also this is past Jackson, isn't it?
Yes, because his
wife is pregnant, I believe.
Yes.
And he's got a shorter beard, which is how we know canonically.
Yes. And also, when he fights the ninjas, he thinks they're from the past, but they say they're from the future. So yes, and he has a shorter beard. That has nothing to do with why I like the way it's filmed, though. I just thought it was a nice sequence. It was
No. What I liked is seeing him using a payphone is how I remembered it was from the past. And it adds, I love like these kind of nostalgia shots of like, I don't have to say when it is. You're figuring it out for yourself, and I am not thinking you are dumb.
That's true. And he also, his wife is going into labor, and they mentioned it's going to be Dustin or Waldo, I think. And we know, of course, it's going to be Dustin. But it didn't even occur to me about the payphone. Like, where'd they find a payphone? There are very few payphones. Like I took it for granted. Like, oh, it's in the past using a payphone. But like, where?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like they found one when they were like driving around, and they're like, we will need this at some point.
Yes.
Remember, somebody put a pin in our map right here.
Because if it was inside, it's like, okay, maybe it's a studio or a prop or an old one somebody owned, but out on the street. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me back up here. Did they actually show it, or did they just show the receiver?
No, I think I think you get part of it.
Yeah, they show his finger on the buttons, I think.
Because I think, Here, let's just let it play. Let it ride.
Oh yeah, they do show. Yeah. Okay. Because I would think, well, most likely they found one outside. But if they didn't, and they just had access to one in a museum or something, they could have filmed this close-up shot and then just have him on a receiver. But I don't think that's what happened because the lighting match is too good and whatever. So they found one. It looks good. I liked everything about this shot. So did you.
Yep.
Short beard, yeah. Okay, so now he does his ninja dash.
I was going to say, I don't love the ninja dash, but I guess we need it for story purposes, and that's fine, and I'll accept it.
Did they not do it in Ninja Storm? I thought they did.
Maybe they did, and I forgot. Because I haven't watched it in a long time. You've watched it more recently than me.
Yeah, but even for me, it's been a couple of years. But I thought they did it. They've definitely done it in this series before.
Because I've seen it short, but like the long ninja dashes, I'm like, okay.
Do you not like? Hold on, let me back up. Do you not like the effect they use, or do you not like?
No. I don't like it from a plot perspective, whether they came up with it or it was in Ninja Storm.
Let's see.
No,
it doesn't bother me.
No, effect-wise, it was fine. Everything about it effect-wise, I had no problem with. I just don't like it from a power creep perspective of like, it opens up that plot hole of like, why did you not use it here then? Why did you do this? It's
I
just
haven't seen any parts where I'm like, oh, you should have just super sped away at this. Like, because usually they're there for a reason and they have to accomplish their goal or whatever.
or super speed to something.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a short distance thing. I mean, he only went across town, but I thought it was in the original. In the comments, let us know. Was it in the original show? I thought it was. Big Dog's not so sure, but also I've watched a lot of like Naruto and other stuff like that, and it seems like every ninja could do that. So I'm like, that makes sense that they could do it. Every like mythological ninja seems to have the super leaping power, you know. So he shows up here. He was on his way to see his kid, but then here's these ninjas, and I'm dumb because it took me a minute. I didn't realize these were the ninjas that Brody was training with in the first episode that had been brainwashed by Daishi. I was like, who are these? Like, I knew they're bad guys, obviously, but I didn't remember who they were. Yeah. And they have this scroll, which now we know they had just stolen from Saya. Yeah. We didn't know that, but yeah, we know more than he does at this point, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's like, okay, why don't you get this situated? You know, I'm Jackson Brooks, and they're like, I have no clue who you are. Like, must be from the past then.
One of my favorite jokes.
Yeah.
Like from the future. Yeah. That's my favorite thing about Jackson Brooks is the low key. I mean, he doesn't seem to have a huge ego, but he's like, I should be kind of remembered,
well,
right?
As he gets older, I think he accepts it more where he's like, okay.
But yeah, even then, like they have a civilian fight, which is cool.
Yeah, I liked the music for this fight too.
I like that yes. The music, and I think there's 2 or 3 songs in here done by a couple different people. Will Schufelt had something to do with him, ATO, and then the other guy whose name I'm blanking. We'll see in the credits. But I think the other musician did something else on it, like he was the effects guy or something like that. Because a lot of people, it's a small production, a lot of people multitasking. That was a cool teleport. I liked the way they did that. And I liked that. They're like, why are we fighting this guy? Let's just leave. Like, whether they could beat him or not, they didn't need to. So that was cool.
Yeah. He kind of figures everything out. Like, okay, can't be great. I got to go to my pregnant wife.
He also, once again, he's like, they're from the future, this and that. They're not, they're not very well versed in ninja lore because I don't know. And like,
I also love, and again, subtleties. He's wearing red on red.
Yeah, nice. I love this cave location. I'm sure it's, they just had, it's like, it looks cool. And then they lit it with like red light. It's very cool. It's clearly not like a set. It's clearly a cave they found. And I thought they were very cool. And so this guy comes in and he's saying, oh, my dad should be a Power Ranger. Just find a power coin, blah, 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 blah. And like, so we're like, okay, he's somebody's kid. And, then when he uses the Thunder Power, we assume he's one of the Thunder Brothers kids. I'm blanking on their names.
I am also forgetting.
Blue one. I can't remember his name, but I would assume it's his kid. I don't know for sure, obviously, but that's, he does this. And then he gets the
butterfly kick.
I'm expecting that this guy is going to be, I feel like he's a martial artist.
Yes.
Based on that and the fact that they're making him Daishi and a few other things, like I'm like everybody's cast for different reasons and everybody has to have some sort of physicality, but I feel like this guy, they're like, let's get a good martial artist because he's going to have to be Daishi. That was in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I think establishing that earlier, like, okay, I'll expect slightly more out of you than we've seen from other fighting scenes.
Yeah, and even like you said that, like I didn't know what a butterfly kick, but I'm like, that looked cool. I like this area too. Whoever did the location scouting for this whole thing, I liked every shot. It was this is amazing, and the way they framed this too. Like the
only thing I didn't actually, I take it back. I don't dislike it anymore. I was gonna say it was weird that he got water, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, water conducts electricity. It'll help him with an initial morph.
That makes sense, yeah. But he tries to morph, and I didn't realize what was happening first. I'm a dope. I thought he just like wasn't disciplined or strong enough. Oh, when I freeze frame it, you could see Daishi energy coming in. You see this little?
Yeah. No, I see.
I see that now. But originally, I didn't kind of get that, and I thought he was just trying to morph, and it kind of wasn't working. Because so when he was like sort of this, I thought this was him like struggling to get his first morph. I thought he was having trouble with it. I didn't realize until he's actually said. Pardon me. Then there's the spikes again.
Now, I love those gauntlets. They're so cool.
And the shoulder pad. Yeah, not the whole thing. I like the shoulder pads and the gauntlets, and it's a good way to show that he's Daishi. I don't think we know the Cyclone Ninja, Cyclone Ranger, the Cyclone character did not have this mask. I don't believe the female Daishi did either, right? I don't remember. And part of the
I don't think she did, because I remember you saying one of your critiques was how they angled her talking to Daishi.
Yes, you're right, and it was yes. I like how those guys slid up out of the shadows. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Right. I don't love this mask. Is where I'm going with this. I didn't have a problem with it in the long shot, but here it's like it seems like it's barely hanging on his face, and I don't know. It seems unnecessary. Like I don't know why. Like, I feel either a full head thing or nothing. I would have preferred. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it goes with the aesthetic of, him being a dragon and having, the spikes and stuff, but it is a creative choice.
Yeah, the spikes and the shoulder pads and the gauntlets I like. And even if you had a thing like up here, maybe would be cool, but it doesn't look great. And here, this shot specifically, where you could see
it's tied, yeah.
I know it's low budget, and I'm sorry, and it's better than I could do, so it's like I shouldn't say anything, but I have to say, like, everything else was so good, and I feel like, oh, did they just buy this like a Halloween store, and even if the other stuff was bought at a Halloween store, I don't know where they that's the thing. I don't know where they get any of this. Some of it's fabricated, some of it's bought, whatever, but I don't really think about it much because it blends. But this mask in particular, it was a combination of it's not that great, and it didn't seem necessary.
I feel like one thing that could have helped just this shot is the hair over it.
Agreed. Like, it doesn't look so bad there, but even there, like, I want it up more. Like, if you're gonna wear it, like, have it be like a Scorpion or Sub-Zero kind of thing. Like, kind of down here.
The only thing I'm concerned about is, as you said, we've seen that this guy has physicality. This seems like a nightmare to fight in.
I feel like it's just gonna be bouncing.
It's just gonna just like poke his face over and over.
Here's where I'll forgive this. I'll still not love this choice of mask, but if it turns out he's somebody that people would know, like, you get to some scene and they're fighting and the mask falls off, and like, oh, that's my brother, or you're so and so's kid. Like, okay, then there's a story reason. All is forgiven. But if it's just because, especially when the last two hosts didn't get that, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it.
To me, like, the other thing I can think of is he brings up in this episode how he needs to absorb power to be stronger. Yes. Maybe this is him, like, slowly showing how strong he is, because first he had the gauntlet, then he had this, and then this, and maybe
I'll do that too. Again, if it's a story reason, I could get behind it more. If it's just because they think it's cool, then it's like not the best choice, maybe.
Fair.
If it's a story reason, all is forgiven. But I am excited to see what this guy could do, because he definitely has that I'm a martial artist vibe.
Yeah.
So then we go back to Jackson, and he's clearly in the ninja zone, and he's looking for Ninjor, supposedly, but then Alyssa shows up. Actually, that's one kind of, I don't know if a plot hole is the right word, but I didn't think about it initially. But I'm thinking about it now, that he went looking for Ninjor for specific answers. He runs into Alyssa. They do a bunch of stuff. Then Brody shows up. He never talks to Ninjor, and he doesn't seem overly concerned about it.
I think he forgets, and the way that I saw it is he gets distracted because he wants to know why she's an Ninjetti.
Yeah.
And I think eventually we're going to learn part of the reason Ninjor didn't show up and part of the reason she's an Ninjetti are all tied together. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. Like,
I hope you're right, because once again, that makes everything perfect. And and this was like a minor thing, because I didn't think this is what they talk. Like, I talk about a lot about, if I'm watching something and I don't have that question while I'm watching it, that's fine. If I think of it later, I'm like, oh, but I was enjoying myself enough that I didn't think about it at the time. And if you're right that's the reason, that's even better.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that makes sense, really.
Yes. I mean, because maybe they didn't, and if not, if it's a behind the scenes thing, like they didn't have the suit or the actor couldn't show up, they still could have addressed it, like, or don't have him look for Ninjor, have him look for her. Like, so it does seem weird they went out of their way to say he's looking for Ninjor and didn't find him, but I think you're right that it'll probably make sense later. I do like, she shows up, he's really excited, and she calls him like, oh, hey, she calls him like Johnson or something. Good to see you. He's like, yeah, Jackson, but yeah. Like, again. And I also like that he's like, I still don't know why you're Ninjetti. And to me, this felt very meta. She's like, yeah, that's all anybody seems to ask me. And I feel like that's because in the fandom, that's all. Well, how is she Ninjetti? What's going on? And they're probably asking her, and they're asking, so like, I like that joke too.
Yeah, agreed. I also think that could tie into something we see at the end, but I'll touch upon that when we get to that part of the video.
Gotcha. So then she's like, if you want to know, let's spar. Again, totally fine with this. This is another trope of like, hey, let's have some good guys fight because people will want to see it. Here's a very thinly, fine, sure, good. I prefer this to the misunderstanding. I prefer that we're going to decide to spar and good natured to the what? Oh, you were stopping the bank robber, so was I. You know, like so.
And it makes sense too, like even deeper, whether this was intentional or not, that for the ninja themed rangers, they often will improve each other and test their own skills by sparring, by training together, as opposed to just like you said, the understandings and stuff. We see in comics and in shows and stuff, people training, but these seasons specifically, it's just inherently ingrained in the theme where it's like, yeah, it's just spar, like whatever.
Right, and that's part of the culture in real life too. The little bit I know about it, of like any kind of martial artist is gonna have to train with people who are their friends. Just makes sense.
Yeah.
Most famously, Ken and Ryu. Wait, are they in our? Yeah.
Or Goku, Vegeta. Similar but different.
True. I also like that we don't see it super clearly, but it's heavily implied that she's just like way better than him.
Yeah.
And he's sort of like,
I have a feeling what it'll turn out to be later on is she's going to bring up, look, I have all of these skills, because we see it when they like pre-spar where she's kind of doing some reminiscent stances and stuff that she did in Wild Force. And she's like, in order to fully like improve myself, I had to diversify kind of my style. So I became a ninjetti. I have the powers from Wild Force, whatever we're going to call it. And then like,
she's an MMPR, a mixed martial artist Power Ranger.
Ah, there you go. MMA PR. Then it's going to tie into, okay, well now I have to learn samurai style and Brody has to learn.
Could you imagine if they brought in samurai to this ninja stew?
I know who you would want to be in, and I would want him to be in too. Actually, I take that back. My number one is your number two, and your number one is my number two.
Okay, we're just talking about the samurai season being represented here at all first.
Yes.
And then you're saying if they did, your number one
is your number two, and your number one is my number two. Yep.
You want Mike. It's tough. Antonio is my favorite.
Yep.
But I acknowledge that in this storyline, he wouldn't make as much sense because he's sort of self-taught and he does the technology. Well, I guess they could write around that. But like the Antonio we saw on the show, out of all of them, honestly, the one that makes the most sense would either be Jaden or
Blue.
Yeah, Blue, because they were the two that were the most focused on technique and stuff. Oh, oh my gosh, what was the female Red's name? Jaden's
Lauren Sheba.
Lauren. Bringing in Lauren would make a lot of sense because she didn't get developed except in the comics, and now she's like this fan favorite.
So I want us to take a moment here.
Yeah.
We have a White Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
We have two Red Rangers. Mm-hmm. We've established we have all the other colors for Ninja Storm. We have yellow for Alien Rangers. If we get
we have yellow for Ninja Storm too.
No, for Ninja Storm we have all the colors.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about gotcha.
Alien Rangers, we have yellow that we saw in the beginning. We don't know what happened with those powers. We have Ninjor, who's like bluish, Six Ranger. We have now we have purple. Spoiler alert for later on. For Jungle Fury. Violet. If we just have everybody lined up and just all I want is that one hero pose. Cool. It could take 4 years. I'll wait. Yeah. But like everybody already and Jackson just like, all right, Avengers Assemble, man. And just
take some of that money that they're getting from Patreon and just squirrel it away so that when that happens, they can have the biggest explosions behind them. And not CGI, like real, like cars exploding. Like, no, but that would be awesome. I thought you were going to try to figure out what color would be needed if they did bring it from someone from Samurai, but
blue.
Yeah, I think Mike. What's the actor's name?
I'm gonna look.
I know, but I can't remember. He would make the most sense for a lot of reasons because he came back for Megaforce. I know he's a big Power Rangers fan. Like he was the kid that, like the guy that was like, oh my gosh, I love Tommy growing up, and now I'm a Green Ranger. And there's all these behind the scenes pictures of him, and he's very active in the fandom. I think like
Hector David Jr. is
yes, Hector David Jr. And so he might be the easiest get in terms of like, hey, that'd be fun. Whereas others might either not be interested or maybe have a bad taste in their mouth or whatever. So he might be the easiest get. And
well, Blue did a fan video.
Did he?
Yeah, I forget who it was with, but it was like some kind of skit. Maybe it was King Vader. Where
maybe we should put that on the list of things we're gonna look at in the future.
It was short. Yeah, we can look. I'm gonna find the actor's name and we can take a look.
I'd say it's Keith.
It's weird. He's not at the top of the cast list, which is kind of frustrating.
Oh, that is annoying.
like he's not on the cast list at all when I just Google it.
Really? Well, anyway, okay. So yes, if they could find a way to include samurai into all these ninja seasons, I gotta think I wouldn't be the. Well, here's the thing. I like samurai.
Yep.
I know I'm not the only person in the world like samurai, but I know we're in the minority. But as evidenced by other actors from seasons that maybe aren't everyone's favorite, I think just having those actors come in would excite everyone.
Well, it's like this series as a whole. Who loved Ninja Steel?
Well, I was trying to say that without saying it, but
no, it's a testament to the show. Ninja Steel wasn't great. He said, "You know what? I can make a good ninja series and make you like Brody," and you have in 2 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So do the same for Samurai, please.
Yes, and if you brought Lauren back, which seems highly unlikely, we will be even giddier.
Yeah, I'd be happy with anybody, but yeah, Antonio was my favorite. Mike was my second favorite. But honestly, I didn't even hate Jaden. The way people there's a lot of Jaden hate. I didn't hate Jaden. He was not my least favorite Red. You know,
I didn't get super far through. Maybe eventually I'll pick it back up, but I didn't get to Lauren, which bummed me out.
Oh, here's the thing. She wasn't in it for very long. She definitely got better treated in the comics and ancillary media.
Yeah, I loved her in the comics.
And it's weird because people I think weren't thrilled with how she was underutilized in the show. And then when they saw how good she was utilized as a character later, it was even worse. Because then, I think some people went, "Oh, let me go watch the season she's on," and then be like, "What?" Yeah, so it's a little.
I blame the Sentai there because I heard it was is translated exactly the
same. The argument was well, whatever. We're talking about samurai again. So we cut back to these guys, and he tells Saya that he's got to find the sword. And they find it, and it's a very sword in the stone kind of thing where he tries to pull it.
You mean it is a sword in stones?
It's a very sword. Well, yeah, it literally is. But it's the sword in stones as opposed to one stone, like they did in Lost Galaxy, or of course, less famously, King Arthur. But go ahead.
You first.
Didn't Jackson say it was hidden? This doesn't look at all hidden.
There's a simple explanation for that. So 2 things. One, what I was going to say is, I think at one point Sam seeked this out and scanned it.
Yes.
Like this exact one. And 2, I take this, whether intended or not, as, oh, you guys are ninjas. You brought it out of hiding. Kind of like the Sword of Gryffindor.
I kind of thought a similar thing, but I wish they would have just said that, you know? Yeah. And I like that he couldn't pull it out. And I love the bloopers at the end of him not.
Yeah, it was really funny.
And then he's like, "Okay, I got to do my power," and right, he goes back to this dimension. He sees them fighting. That was another funny moment. Yeah, they do the humor well.
Yeah,
they do the humor well.
And Jackson, a couple of evenly keeled colleagues with the same skill level.
And she's like, right. Yeah. And then they talk about this gentleman, the Inferno Ranger.
Yeah.
Who I believe I don't know if he is here, but that's ATO, right?
I believe so. So I think they used his name in the credits, which is why you heard when you met him be referred to as K.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his first name, I forget off the top of my head, and I don't want to mispronounce.
I'm going to mispronounce. It's funny because now I've met him and he's a great guy, but I was never introduced because we knew each other, but I know him as ATO, you know?
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, he called me Gazbot, and which is fine, you know, but Kahinde Martin? Kahinde is my best guess. Okay. I apologize if I got that wrong, buddy. But yeah, so was he credited in this as this role or just in the music?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So there you go. So I knew he eventually was this character, but I didn't know if in this quick one shot they could have just had anybody in the suit, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Another cool thing, just pausing back on him for a moment. I haven't seen Hurricaneger, but I know through you that for the Go Kaiger keys, there is a black Ninja Storm Ranger, and the fact that it was a concept and whether it was in a movie, one episode, whatever, they're like,
let's bring.
Here we go. Yeah. Here's just, it's explained in seamlessly, and you're like, there's literally no reason that shouldn't work. Yep.
And it works perfectly fine. And a little bit of, and it works, and it's the element that Brody should have. And somebody called that a while ago. I don't remember what the conversation was, but I remember saying when they're talking about the element, I'm like, well, shouldn't it be fire? I mean, Lion Fire's already has these it's fire, right? It's fire. But then it's like, oh, there isn't fire. So I shouldn't have doubted myself. I was right. It's fire.
Here's one thing. Speaking of the humor, I don't know what happens in the next episode, 2 episodes, 5 episodes out, but if there is not a Earth, Wind, and Fire joke made, I will be upset.
Who would Wind be? I mean, I know we have the Wind.
Jackson.
I'm sorry. I meant Earth because I know we have
what's his name? Dustin Sad.
Yes, but
or not Dustin Sad, but you know what I mean. The Yellow Ranger.
Yes, the Yellow Ranger. It's funny because like I want to call him Surf Rat Ranger because like that's his like Instagram handle. Like that's I don't know his real name. I don't know his character's name. This is Surf Rat, him.
Yeah.
Which is I think I said this before. It's like so cool to me that he got to be a ranger. He's one of those people that I remember seeing at like conventions. He's like, I'm gonna be a ranger one day. And it's like, sure you are, buddy. We all are, and like, not in a nasty way, but like
Yeah.
And then he is. It's like, oh wow, he don't dream it, be it, buddy. And he beat it. But I became an announcer there for a second. Where are we going with this? Blah blah blah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, I don't need that joke, but I'll accept it if it happens.
I need it, and if you guys don't put it in, I'll still love you, but I would really appreciate it in the future.
So these guys show up along with the Cyclone Ranger, which I guess at this point is not Daishi, but is still under his control, is how it seems. Like they're all under
believe so, yes.
And Brody's talking to his students, like, guys, it's me. And they start fighting, and they have another.
No, I don't believe he's controlled by Daishi. I think that post Daishi, he's just kind of disgruntled, a little jaded, looking at stuff. They fight, and then at the end, he's like, oh, Jackson Brooks trained me. He's like, oh yeah, tell that guy thanks.
Right. Okay, but aren't these the ninjas that are brainwashed to fight for Daishi? Or are these the Cyclone Ranger's personal ninjas?
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember.
Because it seems like with the recognition of Jackson Brooks, I thought he was like shaking it off, like shaking off the mind control. Let's go forward a second. So they have a civilian fight, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like this one as much as the other one for some reason. I don't know. I think it was fine, but the Jackson Brooks fight, I don't know, something about it flowed a little better, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think this one just feels busier just because there's another protagonist.
Maybe that's why. Although Will Schofield pulling out some awesome hero poses this year.
Yeah. There you go. Jutsu, baby.
Yep. And then he's like, it's time. She's watching his back. That makes it. Look at this. Watch how he goes when he pulls it out. Watch his mouth. He goes like a little power up. I love it, like blowing off steam.
That's an awesome sword, by the way.
That is an awesome sword. Actually, that's not an awesome sword. It's a terrible sword. They're making it look awesome. I've always thought that was a dumb looking sword. It looks like it has buttons on it, like one of those guitars you get that you press buttons to make music. The initial design of that sword, I always thought was weird.
Well, it has that. Didn't they do that for different power ups?
I guess. I think it was a little bit probably Hurricane Ranger more than Ninja Storm. The point is, as a prop, I never loved it. They're doing a good job of making it seem mythical and cool. And they also kind of made fun of it, saying it's a 90s sword and, but he's going to make it good. So they're taking a prop, which I never liked. I always thought it was a weak sword, like visually, and they're making it cool by the way they're doing it. So he knocks all them down. And this is the part I'm thinking about where he's like, he has this flashback and it looks like he's shaking it off and kind of remembering, doesn't it? Like that's how I took it. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
The captions.
Put the I was going to say.
I turned him off by mistake before. Okay. So he knocks him down. And he says, power, fire, sword. He sees the sword and it's like he's remembering. And even he goes, Red Ranger, see? And then he says, like, Jackson, I shouldn't be here.
Oh, maybe he is shaking off. Maybe you're right. Ninja Steel for you.
Yeah. Ninjas. Oh, how appropriate with Brody, too. I didn't even think about that. Judson Brooks. I'm not trying. Yeah, see, yeah, I definitely think he was shaking off and remembering things.
Okay. And I like how she's like, I know exactly what is going on. And he's like, how do you know exactly what's going on?
I also really liked this animation. I don't know why, but it seemed really fun to me.
I really liked it as well.
Yeah. Door portal school. And then, so she's like, how'd you know all of that? And then it gets explained a second later. And she calls him Psych here, which I wasn't quite sure why. I mean, a different name because it's a different point in his life, I guess.
Maybe.
Is that his real name? Is that like a sensei title? I don't know.
I'm assuming this is a thing where they'll explain it more later.
Or we should know because it's a reference to something that we're forgetting, maybe?
No, I think it's just being explained later because we don't know a lot about him other than Daishi controlled him. I also love from behind behind the scenes thing, how DJ Rivers is a misunderstood Ranger in two different series with the same people that comes in and saves the day different times, and you got to trust him.
Yeah, it's funny too. It's one of those things where when you watch a movie and there's an actor in it, but you don't really know who they are, and then later you get to know them, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I kind of had that now because having seen him before, it's like, oh, he's that guy, he's the Cyclone Ranger, kind of, not like but didn't like stick. And then, but having seen him in the other series as the Red Turbo Space Ranger, I'm like, oh, this guy. So even now, I'm like, oh yeah, like this character now seems more recognizable because I know him more from the other. Like, it's so weird how that stuff happens.
Yeah, I love that mask, by the way.
It's pretty cool. It's much better than the Daishi mask. It's the exact opposite of the Daishi mask.
Yeah, I think this is for like airsoft or paintball or something.
Probably, and that's what I said. It was bought, modified, whatever. But it works. Like I don't care if they bought it at an airsoft store. That's not the issue. I'm not saying you have to build everything, but it looks like it fits on his face. It makes sense for the character. It looks cool. Whatever. That's fine. Like I could see a clip right there, but it's not bothering me. Like, yeah. Okay, and so then he gives her, your father would be so proud. And of course, her father is RJ.
RJ.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend himself.
Which is funny because I assumed that all along, and I figured that here. But in the very beginning, that's what I was looking up because this is something about James. And I'm like, wait, was that his middle name or his last? Like, I knew RJ was so for James, but I didn't know if that was his last name. So I'm like, is that a misdirect? Or so I had to quick look up to see. And yeah, of course it is her father.
Then he's like, "Hey, you're gonna do stuff, Brody. Good luck."
Yeah. And he asked me if Jackson's alive in airtime, and he's like, I don't know, and I can't talk to him either. So you're completely on there. But tell him I said thank you. I noticed. I don't know why I feel the need to bring this up, but there were like a lot of flies in the scene. Do you see him flying?
Oh yeah.
And
go for it.
Well, and it's like, it's not a criticism because whatever, there's flies in real life, but it made me think, I bet you it's like really hot and buggy and muggy and they're wearing this heavy. It made me feel sympathy. Like, oh, they're doing a good job of not showing how miserable they probably are.
Yeah. I'm assuming that he is like ninja adjacent, which is why he can't talk to him through like ninja vision or whatever.
Because if he's green, the way Cam was green, he was technically a samurai ranger.
Yeah.
So, which again, could bring in some samurai. But then green, we already have a green samurai ranger. So that.
But you could have two samurais team up, double green power, baby.
Okay, all right.
Just say, I'll take any samurai ranger. It's cool.
That is the exact morpher I have.
Same.
Yeah.
Mine, I don't think is scratched up. I don't remember if mine ever was.
Mine, it was in perfect mint condition before the move. I haven't unpacked it yet, so I hope it's still in perfect mint. Well, I mean, it's been open, so it's not mint that way. But there's
side note, if you ever are looking for like a morpher to have, or you're starting a morpher collection or whatever, it's very rare that I would be like, get the fancier one. This is one of those times. The Japanese Geki Ranger Wolf morpher is like night and day better.
Oh, it's so much better in every way. And I mean, it's the prop we're seeing here, and I'm betting it's the prop they used in Jungle Fury too.
Yeah, it's just so perfect. It does the bell, it flips out, it makes the noise when you pop. It's perfect.
Chrome.
Yeah. Now I wasn't like, the chrome is like just a cherry on top to me. Like, it looks phenomenal, but
the chrome is half of it, more than half of it for me.
Well, because it's a giant bell, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also I like chrome, and it's more accurate.
What? You like chrome? I've never known you like chromy, shiny things, and that is a driving factor of you having them.
I'm like a magpie, is what I am.
There you go. Daishi is no longer stoked.
No, I picked the wrong vessel. They are connected to the morphing grid, but they're like, I guess I should have picked a better, stronger one. But they don't immediately leave, which is good. Because I was like, oh, are we gonna like just see this actor for a minute and not even get to see their full potential? But like you said, you hinted at before, he kind of sucks their life out. So maybe he's gonna go up to a next evolution eventually.
Yeah.
When
he teams up with somebody else he's gonna talk to in a sec.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was trying to remember if that had been spoiled beforehand.
We saw him just in an image in the beginning of The Last Shattered Past.
Right. But again, timing wise, did that come out before or whatever?
I think they announced it before.
Well, my hope is that and it seems like he's going to, that there's a bigger role than what we saw with like Catherine Sutherland, where she's just sort of like, hey guys, cool. And like, it was cool to see her, but clearly that was it. Whereas this seems like a character. Well, we're going to see in a minute. So he calls out to Warlord Vex, Who, and there's that same shot. That was a similar shot we saw for Draken.
Yeah.
In Shattered. So I'm assuming it's the same ship or same planet or whatever, because if it's not, it kind of doesn't make sense that
stock
they reused
footage.
it. Yeah. Well, it's stock footage, but to use the exact same stock footage, like they would flip it, put a tint on it, do something. So I'm assuming this is the dimension with Draken, or this is affiliated with Draken in some way, shape, or form.
One thing I like, this actually looks like a dark version of the original command center with the lights.
I absolutely assumed this was the command center.
Which is
the command center either destroyed or rebuilt. I think this is Billy Cranston.
I hope it is.
I mean, they're saying it's Warlord Vex, and clearly it's like I think this is the Lord Draken version of Billy Cranston. I think. I
hope so.
And I'd be happy to see David Yost. Wait, David Yost? I'm mixing up my name. Yeah, I want to say Billy Yost. David Yost. I'm happy to see him in it regardless. I like that he's playing a completely different character. But I like the idea of him being like evil Billy and using his technological genius to like rip up the command center and steal everybody's morphers. And you could see like he's got Dino Thunder. And
I was going to say, I want to take a note. So we see Lightspeed Rescue,
Dino Thunder, Ninja
Storm. He has a kunai in his belt.
I can't tell what that other one on the bottom is.
Yeah, that's what I can't tell either. And I'm trying to. Maybe when he walks forward, we can tell. It's a cool jacket too.
It is a cool jacket. You know what it reminds me of?
Blade Runner
from Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I was thinking of Agent K. Was that his name?
From
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, yeah, K and J. Yeah. But I guess
when I said it out loud, I'm like, Men in Black?
Yeah, now I'm having the same brain fart.
I think it is Agent K.
Or Decker. I mean, Decker had a jacket kind of like that. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. It has like a kind of faux military, policey kind of thing that's cool.
Noir.
And he's Warlord Vex, so there you go. He's military in some capacity. And he's like, I'm not interested in whatever stupidity you have. And then Daishi's like, no, I want to do what you did and like destroy the morphing grid, which could be taken as it's gone, or it could be taken as he destroyed it and fed it into Lord Draken.
Corrupted it, or siphoned it, something.
So is he a contemporary of Draken that is maybe on the same side? Is he an enemy of Draken, or is it a completely different universe where he's just in charge of everything? Unknown, but I'm very intrigued. I kind of wish I didn't know he was going to be in it, because it was a fun reveal. And I will say I kind of forgot watching, so it was a little fun reveal. And the acting from David Yost is interesting and it's different and it's fine. But honestly, the laugh at the end is what really got me.
In a good way or a bad way?
Oh, in a good way. I loved it.
Oh, I did not like the laugh.
Really? Oh,
I thought it was a little too much.
I like melodrama and camp, and that is what I was getting out of this. I'm going to turn on the audio for just this one part.
Help you destroy the morphing grid.
I don't know. I liked it.
I love how it cuts immediately to this just heavy Rise theme, which I also enjoy.
Yeah, me too. I guess because up to that point, it's like, okay, he's this in control. He's like, I'm a jerk. I can't even be bothered with you, Daishi. I got my own stuff. I'm this warlord. I got it in control. And then when he does that, it's like, oh no, he's kind of crazy. He's kind of crazy. And I like that. I felt like, okay, well, let's see where that goes then.
Yeah.
And then here's I'll let the credits roll. So okay, Elvin Zuleta, he's the producer, and the other name.
Shout out to Sean Swanson again, directing all of these, and cameraman, and just awesome.
I just noticed. Hold on. I think the first episode of this Will Schufelt co-wrote, but I think this one was just Colin. So I guess Will maybe came up with the basic concepts, and then Colin forward. Yeah. Shout out Sean Swanson does so much on these.
And he's not shown acting in any of them. He's been in some of their other earlier projects, but he's solid, and shout out to you, man. Really good stuff.
I want to check the name on the music because Danny Castellanos.
Yes, yeah.
That's the guy who I was thinking of. It was Surfret Ninja Ranger. Wait, now I'm Surfret Ninja Ranger.
Yeah, Kahinde Martin. There you go.
Okay. Oh yeah, written by Elvin Zuleta, who's the producer. So the producer wrote the song with lyrics by Will Schufelt, and then vocals and instrumental by Chuck Nunn, who I guess is just a musician, has other.
No, he sang it.
Right. No, but he doesn't have another job on this production like everyone else does. And then Starship, ATO, and Will Schufelt,
Yep.
ATL Worldwide. It was produced by Trunk Boy. Yeah. So, and then, written by Kihinde. I'm really sorry I'm mispronouncing it.
Yeah.
Which we now know is ATL. Which that's one of those things. Like, does he want? Like, I hope we're not like outing him with his real name here.
No, he did it intentionally.
Yeah. Well, no, but he's credited differently. You know what I mean? So maybe he wants to keep things separately. I
take it as the music is ATL Worldwide. Everything else is him.
Yes, but it says this music was written by him. I don't know. I just know sometimes people want to keep things separate, and I hope we didn't mess that up for you, buddy. I don't think we did. I think you're right because it is like public credits and everything, so it's probably fine. But it just after the fact, I'm like, is it? Yeah.
I think it's all good.
Yeah. So no, it was fun. There was a lot to talk about. I really like the humor. Like you, I'm excited. Oh, we're at an hour. Remember you when you were like, and we'll do Bloodline too, maybe.
Yeah, because if we so full transparency, I said let's review this episode like we reviewed that last Dino Fury when we were like, please don't delete our channel, YouTube. Google is the best. And now you're like, we got no strikes. Let's take our time.
Well,
Talk
no,
about it all.
That's true. But the other thing is, that episode we had like nothing to say about it. So I knew that would not be true of this episode. Like, I knew we'd have a lot to say. So when you said that, I'm like, there's no way we're doing it like that.
Yeah, but we could have just talked about it like we would on a car ride.
I feel like this is how we talk about it on a car ride.
No, we don't have it pulled up and keep pausing and going in full chronological order on a car ride.
Okay, well let's put it out to the crowd then. Would you prefer when we do these that we do a 20-minute video that takes us an hour to talk about as we go through chronologically and pull up visual aids, or not have that going and just ramble and talk as it comes into our head and maybe be a bit shorter?
And maybe have notes for reference, but not like the video in the background.
It would just be us talking, and it would maybe be a little shorter, and it might not be in perfect chronological order, or this version, which is more what we usually do. If you have an opinion, throw it below, because the other way would be easier, but I assume people prefer this way.
Yeah, so, I'm fine either way. What I will say is
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
We know that, but thank you for bringing it up again.
The other way lends us to potentially review more in one video. So if that has any bearing, it doesn't mean we will, but it means we
typically
versus
we spend in the neighborhood of an hour recording. And if we do two shows that are about a half hour each, then that's more episodes that are coming out. If it's an hour, then we're only doing one. So that, next week we'll be back to Dino Fury. I think episode 19. I think 19.
I think 20.
Okay, 19 or 20, whatever the next one is that we haven't reviewed. And then the week after we'll be back, and I think we're probably going to do Bloodlines of the Grid.
Yeah, so the last we have from the Nerdbot umbrella / Crimson Vision is Bloodlines, and then after that, probably in the same episode, we're going to look at the 1-minute trailer for episode 5 of Shattered Past that was dropped literally like the same day we recorded the last episode. But just for reviewing sake.
That's a little bit shorter of an episode too. And then after that, we'll keep going back to Dino Fury, and then we're going to hit Neon Lights at some point and a couple other indie toku that we've talked about. But if there are any that we haven't talked about or that you specifically want to see, shout them out. Let us know, and we'll take a look.
One thing I want to take note for in terms of suggestions, people have said they want us to review Mystic Force. Yeah. We are down to watch Mystic Force. We can't currently watch it easily, so that would be mildly difficult. But if they keep cranking them out on YouTube the way they've been doing, I'm sure at some point.
Not like we don't have a Patreon or anything like that, and people have said it. You should have. We're so small; it seems like kind of pointless. Yeah. But if somebody out there wants to buy 2 sets of Mystic Force and send them to us, because we don't live together, so we each need a set. Yeah. I mean, if someone's gonna send me a set and send you a set, I'm down to start doing it. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, okay, I would agree to that.
So if you want to see that and you're willing to put up the money and send those sets to us, then great. Let's send a private message, the Facebook page here, or wherever, and we can make that happen. But otherwise we're just going to wait till it's available. Because not to get too in the weeds, but I do spend a little bit of money just having this streaming service and a few other things. Not a lot, but I'm like, I don't really want to spend more money. I'm not looking to make money, but I don't want to lose more money. So.
The only money I spent more for personal reasons, you're going to play it again, is I bought the Overdrive DVD because...
Oh, Operation Overdrive?
Because
what?
I bought it because...
because we were watching it to get when we still lived close to each other and before the
I
pandemic.
all right. I'm leaning into the joke, and you're not even playing the clip when I set up the voice for it.
That one?
No.
Hold on.
You did it wrong.
Oh, the overdrive clip. Oh, this.
Hey guys, this is Dwayne Cameron, and this is a shout out to Action Activate.
Because we have him. He was on Operation Overdrive. Yeah,
You're the worst troll in the entire world.
Anyway, I've been Gazbot.
I said
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Right. Yes. And
yeah, to the power, guys.
The power. End credits. I realized after the credits for First Ninja 2 is the bloopers we're talking about with Brody trying to pull the sword out. Definitely worth watching. They were funny. We didn't actually show them because in the credits it just kind of stopped. That's fine. You should be watching that anyway on their channel.
Exactly. Go give them a like, follow, subscribe, just like you do with us.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with Dino Fury. All right. We are not clear.
Nope, not even close.
You could tell if we're clear, right?
Yeah,
I
always see it.
I wish you couldn't.
I know.